Hey, YouTubers, Tazman here, bringing you another episode of Taz Teaches Java. And in our last episode, so we worked on the card game, and we were able to get it to run a single hand, or I guess a single card. Um, but it output way too much information. I was saying, oh, we got to figure out why it's doing that. And right on camera, I was unable to do it, but I was looking at the code and I found all of the issues, I believe. So, one right here, some things I had to fix was we need to get the value, get suit methods. So I actually added these two guys right here, one to get the value of the suit, get the value of a card, and get the suit of the card, which I'll show you what that does later. So we can go ahead and get rid of that to do because we did it. Whoops. Um, I don't know what I did there. Somehow I'm showing the object window. Oh, maybe this is. There we go. Okay, so anyway, we can go ahead and get rid of this guy. Because I did add those. I figured, yeah, you guys have seen me add these things enough times. You should understand that these are just simple getter methods. So we're getting the value and getting suit. Then here in deck, I can't remember, was there anything in here? No. In player, we also have this loop that we were doing, uh, which I believe is right here. And this was the thing that was actually outputting all the stuff. I think I did get rid of it. So this is simply going to now output a single hand or a single card. So, and I think that might have been the only thing. Let's just verify real quick. No other to-dos here. And none here. So if we run this now, in theory, we should see what we expect to see. Go ahead. And we'll see that now it says the Queen of Hearts beats the Five of Hearts, right? And then the score, Tasman would have got the cards, so they started with 26 each because Derby Fam gives Tasman one. He already has his 26, and now he has 27. Because what he does is put that card on the bottom of his deck and then shuffles his deck. So there we go. If we run it again, we can see there's the 10 of hearts and the 6 of diamonds. Tasman wins again. Let's see if we can get a war to go. War, what is it good for? Oh, looks like Derby Fam won a couple. Come on, give me a war. Give me a war. Come on. We'll give it a couple times. Maybe. Holy cow. Give me a war already. Oops, wrong button. Dude, when I was doing this earlier, just testing it, it came up fine, but holy cow, it's just taking forever now. Anyway, whoa, oh, there was a war. Darn it. Okay, here we go. So here you can see we have a war. So Tasman has the 2 of diamonds, and they have the 2 of spades. So like we said, suits don't really matter. So these two cards go into the pile for the war. So then we draw one card, and then we place our other card, right? So then Taz gets 6 of spades, Derby Fam gets 10. So now you'll see that Tasman went down 3 cards in all because there was the initial card here. There's the card we don't know what it was. And then there's this card. So that takes us down from 26 to 23. And those 3 are added on to the 26 that Derby Fam already had to give her 29. So this is a fun game other than you have to click play a whole bunch of times and you don't actually get to go through a whole deck. The most you'll ever see is what we just saw there. Well, if by chance we got 2 wars in a row, which rarely happen, um, then you would see more, I guess. So if we come in here and go ahead and we'll get rid of this loop because we no longer need it, and hit delete like so. Now we have just outputting the single card, and this is where we're using our get value and our get suit because it's wherever the card is currently pointing. So hopefully that all makes sense. I'm trying to remember if there was any other things. The next thing I think we would want to do, let me just think real quick. So we're rewarding the winner, we're displaying the results, and then we're doing our reward. So that's all good. The next thing I think we might want to do would be maybe just add some logic in here. Now some of this logic we'd actually put in our class, but just to kind of get through this, because we've been doing this card class for quite a while, I kind of want to move on to something else, you know, just give you something fresh. So what we're going to do, let me just think how I want to do this real quick. We're going to want a loop, right? We're going to want a game loop. So let's go ahead up here at the top. We will go ahead and add a static scanner and control space and wait 20 minutes for it to finish. Okay, so we have our scanner, and I just call it SC for scanner, and we're going to say equals new SCA scanner, and the source will be system.in. And go ahead and go there and shabang. So now we have a scanner because we're going to have a loop. Obviously, we want a loop until one of the two players runs out of cards. So what we're going to want to keep track of, maybe just for fun, we could keep track of how many turns this whole game takes, you know, to see how many times they get almost to zero, but then it kind of reverses and the tides turn and all that fun stuff. So it might be interesting just to do an integer and maybe TURNS turns, and we'll initialize that to 0, not 90, 0. So there we go. Then we have our war object. So let's, for the time being, we'll keep that there for now because we're definitely going to want that. Let's go ahead and create a while loop. While, and this loop should be while the war object card count for player 1, right? Now we could take this all the way to 0, but I don't want to mess with that logic and stuff. So it's going to be kind of simple. If player 1, is that how I want to say war card count for player 1? So let's just look at this. So if we say war dot, and do we have something to card count? We need some kind of counter, which we don't have. So we need to go maybe make a card counter real quick to tell us how many cards there are. So let's see. So if we come back up here, maybe stick it up in the after the create player, because that's our creating the players. Really, it doesn't matter where we put it, to tell you the truth. I'm just going to put it maybe right here, and it's going to be PUBO at public. We want it to return an integer, and we call it maybe card count to see how many cards a person has in their hand. And let's see, we're going to pass it in the value of the player, so the array of the player. So we're going to pass it in something that we're going to call player. It'll be the integer. That would be the, 0 for player 1 and a 1 for player 2. It's confusing as that is. But what we could do, just to make this part over here a little more clear, is we could pass it in player 2 for player 2 and a 1 for player 1, and then on the back end in here we could actually say player minus minus, and that means if it's player 2 it'll go to array element 1, and if it's 0 or 1 it'll go to 0. So that might make it a little easier to understand on the card game part. And then we're just simply return, RETU, return, and we want PLAYERS and bracket PLAYER, and we want the hand size. And there we go. So that should do that. So now if we come into card count, what do we change in? Oh, we deleted the loop. So now if we come here and do war, we can actually get our card count, and we want to say if card count for player 1, which will automatically be decremented to 0, is 2. And the reason I'm saying 2 is as long as it's greater than 2, it's going to keep running, right? No one won. But if, for example, you have one card and it goes into a war, then it's going to have issues with the array and stuff. And I could stick in checks. But like I said, we've been doing this for a while. We would want to maybe have something check that the array actually has enough elements to do it, and then call it an 8 over if the player didn't have that, right? So we're going to just do it a little simple here. We're going to say if player 1 has at least 2 cards, and basically the exact same thing for player 2. So as long as there are cards that can be played, then we're going to go ahead and see here. My mouse is like nutty fast. Let me check the... It's not set to nutty fast. Okay, so do that, Control C, Control V, and then we're going to do the same thing, player 2. And this will be our main game loop. Now, let's see, normally, just trying to think, maybe we don't need, well, we might need this. And I'll show you what I'm thinking. So now what we're going to want to do, as long as the game is going, we're going to increment the turn. So we're going to say turns plus plus to add 1 to turns, right? Then we want to do our war check cards to see if a war was the result. And just to make it so we know, let's do print line, maybe like a carriage return or something. So another new line, and then maybe just something so we know that this was the one session or one round of the cards. I don't know. Then what I'm thinking we want is, well, if we did this right now, it would work fine. However, well, let's just run it real quick and I'll show you what it'll do. So if we run this, it's going to work fine, but it'll be a very boring game. So as you can see, Tasman hit 2 eventually, but we didn't have to do anything for this game to run. It just did it all itself. And you can see at this point up here, Tasman was winning, and then all of a sudden he was losing, going down, 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 and finally lost. Now if we run this again, actually if we did, maybe right here, let's stick another carriage return right here, backslash n, and maybe just so we know how many turns it took, TURNS, turns. Oh wait, no, I don't want that there. Then it'll print on every line. Maybe just like right here, just do S out and turns. So this will tell you how many turns it went through. So here you can see 388, 568, 720, 558, 444, blah, 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 blah. And we actually had an error here, out of bounds. Oh, because remember how I said, so this was the very end hand. As you can see, DerpFam had 4. So this is a very unlikely type of scenario. But DerpFam had 4. There went to a war, or there came a war, and that took her down to 3. So she plays her 3, which is one's up. One's down, one's up. Then she only has like 1 left, but then that last card caused a second war. So this is pretty rare that it would happen, but it can happen. I'm not going to worry about it. That was a short game. I'm just wondering, will it ever like hit 1,000 or something like that? Doesn't look like it. But this is extremely unfun because you don't get to follow the progress as you go. So maybe what we'll do, we can get rid of this guy. Maybe what we'll do is outside our main here, we'll go ahead and maybe just do a press any key type of thing. Now, well, we're not going to do press any key. We're going to do press enter because we'd have to do some extra stuff to do press any key. So we're going to do maybe priv private static static and a void. Or wait, no, this is supposed to be public. What am I thinking? Or does it? I don't know. We'll make it public anyway, and we'll just call it press enter. PRESSENTER. And it's not going to pass anything, so there we go. And let's go ahead and in here we will have a S out. Oops. And we'll just say something like, we'll have maybe, I don't know, like 1, 2, 3, something like this. Say PRES press, and then we want to stick in quotes. So what we need to do is escape our quote. So this is not counting as the close quote, and then ENTER, and then maybe do that again, and do 2, and CONTIN, continue. So something like that, and then go 1, 2, 3. So this means after every turn, it's going to ask us to press enter. Now this 2 alone can be very, very monotonous. And so we're going to say sc.next line. And so that's going to store the value. And then we're just going to do s out. Oops. And we'll just have a carriage return after it. So that's all that's going to do is it's going to ask us to continue, and then we just want to invoke that PRESS, press enter, like so. So now you'll see it's still extremely boring. However, now when we hit it, we hit enter between moves. So we can see slowly how long it takes to get to the bottom. So the final thing we want to do with this example is we want to, oh, almost there. Oh, there we go. So here you can see finally DerpFam 150, Tasman 2. So the final thing we want to do is kind of announce that winner. Remember we created our thing that checks for a winner, right? So what we want to do is maybe down here, we want to check the 2 values. We want to check one, if the card count of player 1 is 0 or, well, it's greater than, because we're not going to exit this unless they hit 2 or lower, right? So we could simply just check if the value is higher or lower. So if we say if and maybe war dot card count, and remember here we can say player 1 for player 1, and we want to just see if it's greater than war dot card count player 2, and if it's greater, then obviously player 1 won. So we would just go s out, and we would say maybe get their name. Oops, s out. Nope, I did it wrong. There we go. So then we just want war dot get. Do we have a? Let's see. What do we need? We don't have a get name. We need a get name, right? So if we come back into war, right around where we have our other guy. Why is this split? Oh, I think I moved it. There we go. So if we come here, here's our card count. All we're going to do, basically, we could copy this guy because it's going to be almost the exact same thing. We're going to do a C, do a V. However, this is going to be maybe called get name. Whoops, name, like so. And then instead of hand size, we will be returning player 1 dot name. Is that right? No, we have to do players. I think we have to get the players player, and then do we have a get name in here? I can't remember. Let's just double check. I don't think we do. So we need in here, oh, we do. We have a get name. So that's what we're accessing. So we need to come here, do players dot get name right down there. And I think that, is that it? So let's see, player. Yeah, I think that's it. So we can do that, then we can come back into our card game, and oh my heavens, why did I keep doing that? And we can type get name player, and this will be player 1 because this is when player 1 wins. And then we could, let's see, so this is in our S out, so we're going to say player 1, and then we want maybe a space and maybe another space and say wins, and maybe some fun exclamation points, and then might as well use our little turn guy up there. So maybe in parentheses we say TURNS to say how many turns it took. In fact, we could even say turns, TAKEN, and then a space, or maybe a colon, like so, and then plus, and then we could output our turns, TURNS, and then do another plus and another quote and a close parenthesis, and that should do it. So now what happens is if player 1 wins, then we output that information. Could even be a little more efficient on this, but yeah. Then we want an else in case player 2 wins, and we basically do the exact same thing, but instead of get name 1, we're going to do get name 2. So you should be thinking right now that if the only thing that changes between these two is this 1 and this 2, then there should be a way that we could actually call that, or up here, if it's ended, we could count, you know, who's got the least amount of cards and do it that way. We're just going to leave it here. So now if we run this, oh, errors. Hold on, we gotta go find our errors real quick. It's in war. Return players, player, get name. Oh, it's an int. We need to change this to string. Like a show. That should fix it. Okay. So now if we run this, you can see we still have our enter thing. Let's just see, going down, going up, going down, going way up. Let's just hold it for a minute. It's going up and down. Look how close, 5-2. Oh, there we go. 462, so you can see Tasman wins. It went 462 rounds. So there you go. I think this pretty much gives you an idea. Oops, I don't want to do that. Let's run that guy again real quick. And we can put this guy up here again. Or actually, do we just minimize you? There it is. So hopefully that helps you kind of understand how to do this. I would challenge you to try and make something. Make maybe blackjack. And you can submit it to me. Send your code to T4zzM4NN@gmail.com, and I'll take a look at it and maybe show it off. So our next thing that I want to do, just before we get into graphics, we've kind of done a random number type thing where it generates. We've done a dice roller, we've done card counter or a card generator. I'd also kind of like to address maybe tic-tac-toe using the console with ASCII art, and the same thing maybe like Hangman. So those are probably going to be our next two projects. Then once we're done with those, I think we're going to get into some GUI stuff and graphical user interface. That's GUI, by the way. So please stay tuned. Keep watching. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. If you are, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter channel, my Discord, and my other channels. And that's it. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.